We're just about to celebrate the fantastic Yontif festival of Pesach. And when we were young children, we were told that the word Pesach means to skip over. And indeed, this is one of the explanations that Rashi gives for the word Pesach, that on that fateful night, so many thousands of years ago, when God brought that final plague upon the Egyptians, he skipped over the houses of the Israelites. Hence the word Pesach, Passover. But our great sages tell us that we should look at this word in a different way and break it up, in fact, into two words. Pesach. Pe is the mouth, and sach is to speak. And if there is any festival that requires speaking, it is Pesach. Because on the night of Pesach, on the first 2 nights in the diaspora, we have the mitzvah, the commandment of Sipur Yetziat Mitzrayim, that we have to tell over the miracles of how the exodus from Egypt took place. Pesach, we use our mouths to communicate to the next generation, to make them a link in the chain going back all of those thousands of years. And what's very incredible about the Pesach Seder is the way in which we communicate that message with our mouths. In particular, we look at the Haggadah, and the Haggadah says that the Torah speaks about 4 different children. Echad Chacham, one is wise. Echad Rasha, one is wicked. Echad Tam, one is simple. Ve'echad she'en yodei lishol, and one of them doesn't even know how to ask a question. And to each of these children, there is a different response. And of course, the question is, why do we need 4 children? And why do we need 4 responses? The question is, why did we come out of Egypt? And give them a standard answer. From this we see that there is no standard answer. There is the same Torah that goes to everybody, but there are different answers for different people. There was a famous rabbi who passed away after the Warsaw Ghetto was liquidated. His name was Rav Shapira, and he's known forever by the title of the Eish Kodesh, the Holy Fire. And Rabbi Shapira, who was a great Hasidic rabbi in Poland, was an expert educator. But already in his time, he saw great problems creeping into the religious movements, into the yeshivas. And in one of his books, Chovat HaTalmidim, A Student's Obligation, he has an introduction in which he speaks to parents and to educators. And he says, we are making a mistake. We feel that when we educate, we have a syllabus, we have a curriculum, and we just have to hand it over to the children. That's the most important thing. But he says we have forgotten the golden rule of education that was given to us by King Solomon in the book of Mishlei, Proverbs, where he says those famous words, Chanoch lenar al pi darko. Educate each child according to his way. And then even when he gets older, he'll never go away from that path. And Rabbi Shapiro says, we sit with all of the students in our class and we don't take cognizance of what these students are. What are their abilities? What are their weaknesses? How do we use those abilities or those weaknesses in teaching? And he gives an example. He says perhaps one of the worst things for a teacher is a stubborn child, a stubborn learner. How are you going to educate that learner? How are you going to put across the message? But he says even stubbornness has its positivity. Because if you teach that child properly, according to his way, then later on in his life, he's going to be stubborn about his Judaism. He's going to say, this is what I learned, and I'm not going away from it, whatever you tell me to do. So even stubbornness can have some type of a positivity. And he says, we, the educators, shouldn't sit back smugly and say, I've got a yeshiva full of students, 100 students, 1,000 students, and who cares about the people who are running around outside and not learning Torah? We have to worry about them. And you know what the fault is? We did not educate them properly. Because instead of speaking to them, we just handed over the curriculum and handed over the syllabus. And therefore, on Pesach, when we sit down at the Seder, the Haggadah says, don't forget Abba and Imma, mother and father. Your children that are sitting in front of you, they came from the same father. They came from the same mother. But they are not the same. One of the kids has got a left brain, and he can sit and he can study. One of the kids has got ADHD, and they can barely sit down on their chair. This type of a child likes to look at photographs. This one likes to read books. This one is all flighty and emotional. You have to know each and every one of your children and how to answer them. It's the same Torah. The question is, how do you put it over? So please God, as we sit down this year at our Pesach Seder, we should remember that the ideal is Pesach, to speak with the mouth, but not with the same message, to look at our children, to look at the next education, and educate them according to their needs. I wish you all a Chag Sameach, a Chag Kasher v'Sameach, a joyous and kosher Passover.